Hello and welcome to a slightly more advanced Japanese lesson with Houghton and Mackay. Today we're going to look at the idea of verb tenses, and we're going to draw a little bit on the prior lessons with the possession of nouns and draw it all together. It's going to get really exciting when the actual more advanced sentences start to come together. So without further ado, let's open the blackboard and we will have a look and see how we can draw it and bring some very nice sentences. So, welcome to Japanese with Houghton and Mackay. Let's just quickly go over the things we did in the last few lessons. As I always keep saying, the vowels are extremely important and it is good practice to go over those as often as possible. So let's just have a look at those really quickly. When you're saying the vowels, make sure you sound them in the following way. A instead of A. E. Don't forget it's not the letter E. The I sound is like an E. It's the same beginning sound that you have in the word India. You have U and E and O. Don't forget that those words that you see in Japanese are all split up with the syllables and there's a vowel at the end of each one, as you can see here. So, su, shi, to, yo, ta, ki, mo, no, kimono, and so on and so on. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so the exciting bit and one of the most important. It's verb tenses. Very, very important, very, very special. And it gets really exciting when you start to use these in actual sentences. How does it actually work? So, quite simple. We're going to introduce the polite tense or the polite form. It's used in professional and friendly situations most often. There are other forms, but I don't recommend you learn those quite yet. The first tense, or the verb ending, is called the mass. We call it the mass form. And this first one means will do. I'll put it in brackets. The second one is did do. There's only four, obviously. The next one is masen, will not do. And masen deshita is did not do. So there are the verb tenses. Now the key, and there's many verbs obviously in any language, but we have something called the stems, and it's a little bit difficult to learn the stems of verbs on their own. And I certainly found it difficult. So it's better to learn the whole verb in the simple mass form. So for example, this verb means to eat. And then otherwise you'd be learning tabe and it gets a little bit tricky. There's bits of verbs all over the place. And ikimasu means to go. So there are two verbs. I'm not going to give you many. The idea here is to give you a basic structure in the sentences and so on today. So let's have a look at those. We say tabimasu to mean to eat. Tabimashita therefore would be ate. Tabimasen, won't eat. And tabimasen deshita, did not eat. So if you recall the prior lessons, the person that owns an object is taking something called no, which is the equivalent of apostrophe S. So if I say, my name's Carl, hello, Carl no sushi. So Carl's sushi. The thing being done always takes another particle called o. And after the o we always have a verb. So the thing being done is sushi and it is getting eaten. Okay? So sushi o tabimasu. Carl no sushi o tabimasu. Carl's sushi will get eaten. That's what that means. Okay? Now, keep that in mind a moment. This will draw together. Let's change this up a little bit. Let's have anata no sushi o tabimasen. You will not eat the sushi. So if you remember, anata means you. There's two examples. Don't forget the verb tenses. Question to you then, listening in. What would I will not eat the sushi? Remember that I or me is watashi. And therefore the answer to the question would be, what would the answer be here? It would be watashi wa. Remember, we mark the subject with a particle called wa. And that means as for, and it points towards the letter, or the word, sorry, on the left. Watashi wa sushi o tabe ma will not is masen. Let's look up at the tenses. Watashi wa sushi o tabemasen. Very good. If you got that right, you are doing superlatively already. Very well done indeed. So there's the tenses. Key point is to learn those off by heart. Okay. Let's give you a few more verbs. And then we'll go on to the go one, which is very slightly different. Araimasu means to wash. And let's go with eat. Let's have nomimasu to mean drink. And again, you can learn the verb stem, so arai or nomi, but it's better to learn it in the mas form. It helps it stick in your memory, you see. Right, I'm going to make it slightly more difficult. I'm going to go and get rid of these tenses. And I'm just going to put these verbs at the very top so they are all together. And then we have to try and remember all the bits and pieces. I will help you do it. But therein lies the challenge. So there are your verbs. There's your first verbs. Tabimasu, to eat. Ikimasu, araimasu, nomimasu. Okay. Let's keep it simple then. Let's think of an example. And remember, we're not doing ikimasu yet. An example of a word to go with each one. Let's start with the bottom one. A most common drink in Japan is sake. What do you do to the sake? You drink it. So you mark it with o, nomi, mas. If you drank the sake, it would be sake o nomi mashita. And then you can have sake o nomi masen deshita. Okay? And let's wash the car. So the word for car is kuruma. The thing being done takes o. The car is getting washed. And we then put the verb, araimasu. Kuruma o araimasu. Will wash the car. Kuruma o araimasen. Will not wash the car. Kuruma o rai ma sen deshita. Did not wash the car. And did wash the car in the positive past. O arai mashita. There we go. So what's different with the ikimasu? Something very subtle. We can't use the particle o because going isn't being done to the thing. It's a different level of transition. So let's come up with Osaka. Osaka. It's a double O sound, but it's often written with one O. The place you go to doesn't take o because it's not getting gone. Osaka is not having going done to it. It is a transitive verb, so it's actually moving. Osaka ni ikimasu. The thing being moved towards is marked with ni. Osaka ni ikimasu. Similarly, you cannot put ni in the other examples. Otherwise, it would mean you are eating to the sushi, or eating at the sushi, or the car is getting washed in the literal sense. It's very complicated if you look at it too deeply. So just take these rules for the moment. I promise over time you will start to understand why they are there even more and more. So, Osaka ni ikimasu. We don't pronounce the s sound so much. Usually Japanese females do, but gentlemen don't in Japan. They do extend it in a customer service sense. Sometimes it depends where you are as well. So, Osaka ni ikimasu. Osaka ni ikimasen. Osaka ni ikimasen deshita. And finally, what's the next one? Osaka ni ikimashita. There we go. Don't forget, we can extend them. Tanaka-san wa Tokyo ni ikimasu. Tanaka-san wa Tokyo ni ikimasu. And if you wanted to extend that with something just here, you can put the time first. Now, the clever thing is, if you read back, I will delete them as I say them. Tanaka-san wa, subject first. Always get that out of the way. Will go to Tokyo. And then you arrive back at the actual sentence. Now, let me do as I did last time. I will delete all of the previous sentences and we move on to a slightly more advanced context. We're reiterating everything, so don't worry about it getting too complicated too quick. So let's have a look at introducing times. I'm going to use one time here. There are past lessons to do with time. Last week's was to do with telling the time. I'm going to introduce one time here just to fatten out our sentences. So, go is 5. We mark the hour with G, and when we say at 5 o'clock, we mark it also with the particle ni. Goji ni. What about it? Well, Tokyo ni. What about it? There has to be a verb now. Ikimasu. And if we read from the bottom, and this is where it gets quite clever, will go to, so ni means to, so we're reading from the bottom backwards, to Tokyo at, so the second ni at the top means at 5 o'clock, or the hour of 5. So let's read from the bottom again. Will go to Tokyo at 5. And then at the very top we can put a subject. Watashi wa. As for me, let's read from the bottom at the top now. Watashi wa, what about it? I, goji ni, at 5 o'clock, Tokyo ni, to Tokyo, ikimasu, will go. We can change this and do the same, reading from the top. Let's change this to anata. So, you, anata wa, goji ni, Tokyo ni ikimasen. You will not go to Tokyo at 5 o'clock. Do you see how that works? Let's do another example. Kuniko-san. So that's a popular female name. Kuniko-san wa. What about Kuniko-san? As for Kuniko-san, anata no kuruma o. So we have an o at the end of kuruma, meaning there has to be a verb now, because kuruma is being marked by o. Araimasu. There we go. Kuniko-san wa anata no kuruma o araimasu. So Kuniko will wash your car. So again, let's read from the top. Kuniko-san wa, as for Kuniko, anata no kuruma o, your car will be washed. Now, don't get confused, because when the verb is sat there on its own, you will wonder who is doing it. Well, that's what the particle here is for, the wa at the very top. Everything after wa is about the thing before wa. And I've made a very slight error there. Let me put N. It should be Kuniko-san. My apologies. So everything before wa is the subject, and everything after wa is about that subject. So if I change this to Tanaka, then everything about Tanaka would be in the sentence. It's all about him suddenly. And in between here, you can actually put a time. Tanaka-san wa 5時にあなたの車を洗います. Mr. Tanaka at 5 o'clock will wash your car. So there is a very fancy sentence at a beginner level that you can start to learn and understand. Break it down in small parts like that. What I recommend you do if you're learning is go around the house, go around the street, start to build up maybe 5 or 10 words a day, but keep the grammar in place. The only thing you need to really be adding at the moment is new words. And then when you can recite all of those combinations, for example, you can put 10 o'clock in here, 11 o'clock, 11:15, and so on and so on. And you can put lots of different names and titles in here instead of Tanaka. You can change this up and put different things like carpet, inu for dog, kao for face. You can wash lots of different things. There are the points or the places where you need to be learning new words. So have a go. Put messages in the comments, and if you get stuck, just let us know anytime. We're here to help. Thank you for tuning in. Slightly more advanced lesson. We'll recap next week. And if you want to send over a couple of examples of your sentences, feel free to put them in the comments and I will go and correct them and tell you how well you're doing as well. Thank you once again, and we will see you at 8 p.m. UK time next week.